What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another video today, and in this video we are at Sioux Falls Regional Airport for the 65th airport update for the month of June 2025. We've got another loaded FST update, returning route for the summer season, and plenty of other of our traffic here at FSD. We start off at Gate 1 as we depart for some brand new adventures. Obviously this video is going out during Airliners International in Atlanta. However, I did not take the Delta direct flight, so I will let you guys figure out as to how else I would have gotten there, and it will be one of these flights in this video. Not the exact aircraft, but it will be one of the flights featured in this video. So this Frontier A321 is heading out to Denver as Flight 4791, and this departed delayed about an hour behind schedule at 8:35 p.m. Now, Denver was going through quite the phase with a lot of thunderstorms, and now it seems like it's cleared out. The weather got really hot recently. It was darn near 100 degrees at one point last week, so not exactly ideal, but I think it's better than having severe thunderstorms in the forecast every day. As we swing on down, we have our American mainline from DFW parked at Gate 5. Always nice to get this featured. We've got the Sharklet 319 today, arriving in as Flight 2937. This arrived just 19 minutes behind schedule at 10:06 p.m. in this case. So our late night service that comes in and does all that fun stuff overnights, and then eventually goes back to DFW the next morning. Then moving into our United section, we've got a couple of mainline aircraft and then one of the CRJ 550s. So go ahead and start off with the 737-800 in the Evo Blue livery, which came in from Denver as Flight 645. This arrived in 41 minutes behind schedule, so we have yet another delayed flight. This arrived in at 9:59 p.m. So quite a few delays are going to be present in this update, and that has been, unfortunately, the norm the last several airport updates that I've done, with multiple delays, and especially of those that are quite significant. So hopefully my travel does not have any of that, but if it does, hopefully I'll be able to get through it. But I've seen people endure like 12-hour delays, and they've been able to come out on the other side smelling like a rose, so shouldn't have too much to worry about. But anyway, we move on to the CRJ 550 for United Express at the other Gate 7 apron. This is 7A. And this arrived in from Chicago as Flight 4414, a GoJet service. And this arrived in at 10:11 a.m., had of a scheduled 10:45 a.m. arrival. And I'd also like to add, it does not have to be a departing flight in this update as to where I'm going. So just in case you wanted to try and eliminate any other options, is that it doesn't have to be just a departing flight. It could be an arriving flight in this case. So like I've already featured, American from DFW, United mainline from Denver, and then this United flight from Chicago, or even this other mainline flight from the Windy City can also eliminate that process. So this A319 arrived in as Flight 2113, and this arrived in at 9:39 p.m., had to be scheduled at 9:52 p.m. arrival. And I'd also like to not eliminate the possibility of a Delta flight to Minneapolis. It would be quite the roundabout way to get there, but it would certainly work out in some process, I'm sure. I mean, I would not, personally, I wouldn't do it, but I'm just trying to make sure that all the options are open for this update, because rest assured, it's going to be very fun what I do announce here, which that announcement video will be coming out on Monday, June 30th, so stay tuned for that, and you'll see exactly what I've been up to, because I had a lot of fun doing it, and I'm sure you'll have a lot of fun seeing all the content from it too. This A319 arrived in as Flight 2748 from the Twin Cities at 11:31 p.m., had of a scheduled 11:44 p.m. arrival. So that's all the aircraft we have at the terminal. And as always, I'll do my trusty route roundup section here, just to go over all of the applicable services at Sioux Falls for this time of the year. Should be a fairly busy point of this season, because we're right in the thick of summer and everybody wants to travel somewhere. So let's go ahead and get started. We'll do the Delta to Minneapolis. Just the one A319 on mainline, and then the rest of it a mixture of the CRJ 900s and the Embraer 175s. Chicago on American will be 2 to 3 daily of the SkyWest 700s, and then as for United, good mixture of the 737 and A319 for mainline, and then pretty much all CRJ 550s, but there is an occasional Embraer 175 swap that comes into play. And then moving down to Nashville for our Allegiant services, we'll go over those here. Monday, Friday for Allegiant, and an extra Wednesday frequency at the start of July. That'll be pretty interesting. ATL service, no change there, just the one daily 319. Orlando Sanford on Allegiant, a 3 weekly Monday or Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday. Fort Lauderdale, that will return on December 19th, and that will be a Monday-Friday service heading into the new year. And then Punta Gorda comes back on November 20th. That'll be that Thursday. And it looks like that will operate mostly about 2 to 3 weekly. They'll add some extra frequencies towards the end of December to factor in all of the Christmas holiday traffic. And then our St. Petersburg service, that is 2 weekly, Wednesday and Saturday. And DFW for the mainline, it looks like will be 2 daily mainline, except on Saturdays where it will just be the 1 mainline, and then the other flights are the SkyWest CRJ 700s. And then for the days they have the 2 mainline, it will be one of the 175s, an Envoy one probably. And that will be the case heading into July. Phoenix Mesa on the Allegiant, that is basically, 6 weekly up until about mid-July, and then they drop the Saturday service, and it'll go down to 5 weekly from that point on. Our Phoenix service on the CRJ 700 for American, they do not operate on Independence Day, so that is interesting to note. And then Denver, 5 weekly for Frontier, does not operate on Tuesdays and Saturdays, but otherwise it's a pretty good mixture of the various types that are present in their fleet. And then for United, we have some 175s and CRJs for the regional aircraft, and then a mixture of mainline from that point on. It's hard to report on it because they're very inconsistent. Vegas on Allegiant is 4 weekly with a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday frequency. And then we have the LAX service, which is back, and I do have this in this update. That will be a twice weekly Monday, Friday frequency through August. So good to see that service come back despite the changes that Allegiant has been undergoing at LAX. I kind of wish that service would be more year-round. I suspect there's a lot of demand traveling to LAX, especially in the summer, but maybe not so much the winter, which is kind of why they only do it through August. But I think maybe even September or October would work, and especially for me personally, because I'd love to go to Spot LAX. I would like to have that direct flight, but if I were to go and I had to connect, then it is what it is. But Spot LAX is certainly something I'd love to go to. It's just a matter of, can I work it into my schedule and just have that all be budgeted accordingly, because obviously a lot of my focus goes towards Airliners, the big aviation convention this year in Atlanta. So certainly going to be a fun time, and by this point we'll already be halfway through the show, and we'll certainly have a lot of fun to go with it. And again, the content schedule from that'll be as part of the trip announcement video that I'll have out on Monday, so stay tuned for that, because there's going to be a lot of fun stuff coming from that, and hopefully you guys are all excited for it. Moving on to our other aircraft roaming the airport, we have the Delta 320 today from Atlanta, so a nice up gauge for this month's update. This arrived in at 11:53 p.m., another delayed flight, this one a 43-minute delay from the 11:10 scheduled arrival. And then moving over to our LAX service, there it is right there on the A320. This arrived in as flight 2406, thankfully not delayed, about 20 minutes ahead of schedule actually, arriving in at 8:57 p.m. And then our final aircraft, a departing CRJ 700, heading out to Chicago O'Hare as flight 5011, the SkyWest service. Typically they're in that 4000 series. We've got a couple 5000 series flight numbers here. And this departed well behind schedule, just over 2 hours in this case at 2:22 p.m. So I'm not sure what happened with that delay, if that was another factor of weather or something else. But you just never know these days with all the delays that you have for all these flights, especially in the summer. But there we go, Sioux Falls, the 65th update, and one that goes out during Airliners. Obviously, a lot of fun content's going to be coming from that, and as I said, I'll have the full schedule out on Monday that will go over everything that will be coming out on my channel, because rest assured, it's going to be a lot. And one of the flights that I took to get to Atlanta will be in this video, so you'll have to kind of figure out which one it is before I do the announcement. But some of you may have already figured that out, which is totally fine. But other than that, if you haven't figured it out yet, you'll know for sure by Monday. But I will tell you, it's going to be an awesome adventure. It will be to all sorts of cool places that I've never been to before. Obviously with Atlanta, because that's a place I've never been to, which is a bit surprising, but my background is that I don't travel that much. At least prior to when I started YouTube, I did not travel at all. Everybody was just all in a close region, so any sort of traveling I did was always just a road trip and not an actual flight to go somewhere else. But now as I've grown my presence here on YouTube, that travel aspect has certainly picked up. So I'm happy to have a platform to share that with other people who have that same interest, and even to those who may not have that big of an interest in travel, but they're just curious to see what the whole experience is like. Because I always like the process of traveling. Others may just like only getting to the destination, but I'm all about the whole process of the travel. You know, flying on the plane, getting to the airport, landing at the destination, and even still, I always enjoy being at the destination, but I always like to find that enjoyment in the process of traveling. With that being said, that is the end of the video. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next video.